Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello dear students, welcome to another lecture. So in our last video, we had started with chapter 2 of class 8, the tsunami. So alternative English we are doing. And we had read about a few stories about those people who acted very courageously and survived. A few people were highly courageous but they could not survive. And also about Tylee Smith, who ended up saving not only her life but also the lives of many tourists who were there on the Phuket beach when tsunami struck the beach of Thailand. So now we are going to begin with the third part of this story and learn about the impact that tsunami had on the animals. So look carefully at the picture of the boy and his dog and try to describe the things that you see using just words and phrases. Either the teacher or one of the students can write down the words and phrases on the blackboard. So this is something which obviously is to enhance your creative thinking, your writing skills. So just go with this. We'll straight away move on to reading the entire chapter. So yeah, just a second. So before the giant waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. They fled to safety. According to eyewitness accounts, elephants screamed and ran for higher ground. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas and zoo animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come out. So, before these giant waves, the giant sea waves slammed into the coast in India. Slammed means forcefully entered. So, slammed means forcefully entered or forcefully hit. So, before the tsunami hit the coasts in India and Sri Lanka, the wild animals and the domestic animals, they somehow knew about what was going to happen. They fled to safety. Fled is to run away. Fled is the past form of run. So here it means they ran to the places they considered were safe for them. According to the eyewitnesses, those who had seen this in front of their eyes, they recall that elephants started to scream. They were shouting. They ran for higher grounds. They started running to the places which were higher in altitude. Okay. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos, the birds, they abandoned their low-lying breeding areas. Abandoned, left. So these birds, they left the low areas and they went for higher grounds again. The zoo animals, they ran into their cages, they ran into their shelters and could not be enticed to come out. Enticed, no amount of attraction, no amount of temptation made them come out of their shelters. Many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. They can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going on. So there are a lot of people who believe that animals possess some sort of a sixth sense and they know when the earth is going to shake. So they get to know about an earthquake in advance. Some experts also believe that animals have a very acute hearing. Their hearing power is so strong and it is so immaculately perfect that they can hear and they can feel the vibration of the earth. They can sense an approaching disaster long before the humans can. So this is something which is assumed about the animals. We cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not. But the fact is that the giant waves that rolled through the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries, but not many animals have been reported dead. So the writer tells us that we are not sure whether the animals actually possess some sixth sense or not. The only thing that we know is that tsunami that struck the Indian Ocean, it killed more than 150,000 people in dozen countries. But not many animals were reported dead. Along India's Cuddalore coast, where thousands of people perished, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. The Yala National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals including elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patangala beach inside the park, but no animal carcasses were found, except for 2 water buffaloes. About an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Yala National Park had observed 3 elephants running away from the Patangala beach. So, along India's Cuddalore coast, which was there in in Sri Lanka, there were thousands of people that perished. They disappeared. They altogether vanished from the place. So there were thousands of people that disappeared, but buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. So there was no damage that took place to the dogs, buffaloes, as well as the goats. Yala National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals. So Yala National Park at Sri Lanka has a lot of animals in them, which includes elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patangala beach, which is inside the park, but there was no animal carcass that was found. Animal carcasses, the dead bodies of the animals. Okay, so the dead animals. Except for 2 buffaloes, and that too because they were water buffaloes. Now, about an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Yala National Park had observed 3 elephants running away from the Patangala beach. So, at Yala National Park, just an hour before tsunami hit, people saw that 3 elephants were running away from that beach. So that clearly indicates that the animals indeed had something to do with the indication of tsunami hitting them. A Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Gale said his 2 dogs would not go for their daily run on the beach. They are usually excited to go on this outing, he said, but on that day they refused to go and probably saved his life. So there was another Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near the Gale Island. Now he told that 2 of his dogs, unlike every day, they refused to go for their run along the beach. And this was very unlikely because every day they were highly excited when it came to going for their run along the beach. The man could not do anything to make them come out of the house and to run, and this probably saved his life as well. Because of the dogs, he did not step out of his house, and thus he was unharmed by the tsunami waves.